Hi, guys. How are you? If you remember, if you're following the series of Illegal Prayers by Bob Sorge, we were just talking about if your friend keeps coming to you and bugging you for something and they want you to get out of bed and give them 3 loaves of bread and you're not going to get out of bed because you're tired, but if they persist long enough, you're just going to get up and give them what they want. And that's kind of a parable that Jesus was sharing with us, to be persistent. Now, just because you're bold in the presence of God does not mean you're a spoiled brat with the spirit of entitlement. It means you're someone who has confidence in your beloved friend. Confidence will say to God, if you say no, I'm not leaving. If you say later, I'm not leaving, the only way I'll quiet down is if you give me your 3 loaves. Now, this is kind of a hard thing for me because that sounds so arrogant, but it's not. It's right here. Illegal prayers are rooted in the relational confidence of knowing your God, and even better, being known by Him. You can have enough confidence in your friendship to believe that ever before He gets angry and swats you into outer space, He's going to give you the healing bread that He has in His heavenly pantry. The title of this book, Illegal Prayers, wasn't chosen because I thought it was a clever title. I chose it because of what's going on in the parable. Jim is praying illegal prayers at Dave's door, but Jesus' parable is not the only instance of illegal prayers in the Bible. There are a few others. Hannah. Hannah could not have children, and it vexed her soul greatly. She was consumed with longing to have a child. She went into the house of the Lord and began to pour out her heart in prayer. Finally, in the anguish and desperation of her soul, she said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the day of his life. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11. She was so desperate for a son that she said, if you give me a son, I'll give him back to you. And as the story turned out, she gave birth to a son whom she turned over to Eli, the priest. Thus, her son Samuel was raised in the house of the Lord by Eli. Was Hannah's prayer legal? Is it permissible to abandon your child like that? How about abandonment laws? True, she gave him to the care of another, but Eli wasn't that great of a caretaker. He had a poor record with his own sons, so what made him fit to be a father to Samuel? At the least, the story is unconventional, and yet God used Hannah's barrenness and the desperate cry her barrenness generated to answer her prayer and give her a son. The cry of a desperate mother enabled God to procure in Samuel the prophet he needed to transition the nation of Israel from the era of the judges to the era of the kings. How about Daniel? In the days when Babylon was the ruling world empire, Babylon invaded Israel and took Daniel, along with many other Jews, back to Babylon. Because of his wisdom, Daniel was promoted to a place of political prominence in the kingdom. Later, when Babylon was conquered by Persia, Daniel continued to serve in a place of eminence in the empire. He had so much favor with the king that the princes of Persia grew envious. The princes conspired a way to get rid of Daniel. Because of his wisdom, Daniel was promoted to a place of political prominence in the kingdom. Later, when Babylon was conquered by Persia, Daniel continued to serve in a place of eminence in the empire. He had so much favor with the king that the princes of Persia grew envious. The princes conspired a way to get rid of Daniel. Under false pretenses, they convinced the king to enact a decree that no one be allowed to pray to any god but the king for 30 days, and that's in Daniel 6. If someone prayed to another, they were to be thrown into the lion's den. As soon as Daniel learned that this legislation had been signed into law by the king, he went to his home, opened his window toward Jerusalem, and prayed to his God. He would allow nothing to stop his practice of praying 3 times a day to the God of Israel. If he could no longer pray legal prayers, then he would pray illegal prayers. And his illegal prayers got him into serious trouble. He was arrested and thrown into the lion's den, but as you know the story, God stood by his man, sent his angel, and shut the mouths of the lions. What started as an illegal prayer ended in a mighty deliverance. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we will go into a prayer that Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah. So I hope you guys learned something from this, got blessed somehow. Let's just knock and keep knocking, right? Seek and keep seeking. I love you guys, and don't forget to say your prayers. And those of you who give me thumbs down, I love you too. Have a great night. God bless you.